G'day, here we are at the end of an era. Attack on Titan finally had its final episode launch, and it's been a bit of a weird journey watching them use final season, then final season part 2, and just constantly renaming extra seasons into final season. But anyway, one thing that I knew was coming with this ending was that there would be a lot of people from certain corners of the internet that would have some very loud complaints about the ending and how it was handled. And I think the biggest thing that's come out of it and the most talked about aspect was how Eren's character was ruined or retconned or changed compared to who he was. And, you know, I think there are some genuine complaints to be had about the ending, and it's perfectly fine if you're personally not happy with the ending. Some people might have preferred something a bit more happy. Some might have preferred the bleakness to be leaned into 100% and just see everything go completely wrong for every character. I don't mind bleak endings personally. That's kind of why I was quite attracted to Attack on Titan initially, was that it didn't really pull any punches. It was quite brutal. And I feel like in a lot of shows, they try to make it more lighthearted where things sort of tend to just work out in the end. And Attack on Titan was different for that. And, you know, when the manga launched its final chapter, there were genuine issues with its pacing. It sort of felt like the way the story was being told in its final chapter probably should have been told over the course of 2 or 3 chapters, not one, because it just felt very condensed. It was very rushed. Thankfully, the anime has extended that and also changed some of the dialogue that was pretty awful. So, obviously, spoilers if it's not already clear. We no longer have to listen to Armin thank Eren for mass genocide or omnicide, whatever the word for it is. And they have a more expanded conversation, which I think is great. The voice acting is brilliant. But the thing about Eren's supposed character change is I genuinely believe some people just sort of missed parts of the story or themes of the overall plot. Now, if you don't know, the creator of Attack on Titan, Hajime Isayama, has stated that the core ending has remained the same for him over the years. It was always meant to be about this victim who later becomes the aggressor of the situation. And I think it's very obvious that that's part of Eren's development, is that he's always had this rage and this hatred towards people who he thinks should not be part of the world, should not be around people that want to be free. You know, you look at the people he killed when he was only a kid, then that hatred extended to the Titans, and his mum died and just increased from there. And then he finds out that there are other humans outside the walls on other islands, and as he says in the first special episode, he was disappointed. He was expecting a world of freedom where he could see the sights from Armin's books, and he was disappointed because he now had all these people that were essentially just in his way. He had this childish outlook, and it was all sort of based off the stories and the pictures from this book that Armin had. That's, I guess, where it all originated. And I think a lot of people got stuck at the, let's call it Chad Eren phase, where he, you know, does his hair up, wears jackets without a shirt, and beats up Armin and says some horrible things to Mikasa. Now, anyone who is at least vaguely paying attention to the story should have picked up on the fact that it was beyond out of character for him. And it was obvious that he was trying to get them away from him, or at least I thought at the time he was trying to get them away from him because he was going to commit some awful stuff and he didn't want them to help him. I wasn't sure what kind of level we were talking, but I assumed it was going to be something that they would still try to help. And then it turns out that he tried to push them away so that they would hate him enough to stop him in the end. And something that gets brought up a lot with Eren's character assassination is the breakdown he has, where he finally lets it all out during his conversation with Armin. He doesn't want to die. He's had feelings for Mikasa the whole time, and he's not going to be able to have a life with her. And he finally just breaks down as any human would. I think a lot of people that call him a simp for that moment and hate the direction the character writing went seem to forget that we're dealing with a 19-year-old who has known for a few years now that his death is inevitable. There is no getting out of it. There is no life for him. The future that he's trying to understand and he's seeing it at the exact same time he's experiencing past memories and the present. You imagine how fucked up his head is and how much his sense of self is warped because he's experiencing 3 different periods of time at once. He's shouldering the burden of essentially having his whole population make him out to be the hero that everyone has to rely on. He's got that responsibility. It doesn't work out because he's just angry at the world and only wants the people he cares most about to exist freely, fuck everyone else, and finds out that all the fighting he's doing to become free isn't really for anything for him because he's one of the least free people in the show, if not the most or least free person. And I don't know, did people miss some of that build up? Did people see Chad Aaron and just take it at face value or something? They saw the like surface level characterization of Aaron and went, yep, that's Aaron, all right. He's developed into a Chad and he will be able to take on the world and have like no mental scarring or anything. Can anyone hold themselves together after killing so many people, let alone having to deal with the fact that your life is coming to an end very rapidly? It's a very human moment that he has. So when I see so many people question his thought process, I wonder where they're getting this story from. That they're literally basing where they thought the story was going on Eren trying to manipulate all of his friends, which I think is insanely ironic that those viewers were also tricked by him. That's quite funny to think about. As far as I can tell, the biggest issue I've seen across Reddit or Twitter is that Eren looked like he was turning into this fucking Chad Shonen character, weight of the world on his shoulders, I can take anything and I'm going to fucking follow through with it. They thought he was going to be that and then were disappointed that he was a fucking broken 19-year-old who only had anger for the world. And he even says that he's just a stupid kid who had an ungodly amount of power given to him. And I think it makes perfect sense from a writing perspective. So if you disagree or think otherwise, please let me know in the comments. Let's have a chat about it. I'd like to hear from other perspectives that isn't just people creating post after post, just insulting anyone that had a good time with the anime, because what fucking good is that? But yeah, don't really have anything else to say. Just been sitting there with this on my mind. This is my #1 anime of all time. So far though, #1 story would go to Berserk, assuming that ends well and that doesn't have any issues. But I wanted to talk about Attack on Titan. It's on my mind. I fucking absolutely love it and just wanted to get something out there where I was talking about it. So until the next video, have a good one.